All right, good evening, ladies and Degents. We, the distinguished Degents, are back. We are live. We are coming off a total sweep of the Monday Night Football games. I'm Steve, Big Bucks Beta, and joining me live, as always, Money Mansmann. Mansmann, how are you feeling on this Week 2 recap Tuesday?
Redemption Monday, baby. Redemption Monday. What a big day it was.
Yeah, that was God, I know we're gonna have to get into the full game series, but didn't that just seem like the most Looney Tunes episode of like Monday Night Football we have ever seen in our life?
That Steelers Browns game was something else, man. That was wild.
First play, pick six, just back and forth, fumble, bumble. Nobody wants to keep the ball. I literally like my whole thinking was like, this is just a Looney Tunes episode. No, you take the ball. No, you take the ball. No, you take the ball. Rabbit season, duck season.
There were 3 times during that game where I literally was ready to go to bed. I'm like, well, the Steelers offense went 3-and-out. This game's fucking over. And then I would look and the Steelers had the ball again. And I was like, fuck, I guess I'm going to have to keep watching. And then, like, the Steelers wouldn't do anything on offense again. And I'm like, well, fuck me. Okay, I guess it's over. And then I'd watch and, like, Cleveland would be driving. And I'm like, okay, now I'm really going to bed. But the Steelers defense always kept making plays. So,
God,
you know.
that Steelers defense just came in so clutch. And I kind of felt that way with like the Carolina New Orleans game. I kept flipping back and forth on the multicast on ESPN. And literally it was just like, all right, I'm going to go watch the Cleveland Steelers game. Oh, look, Carolina got the ball back. Oh, look, shit, New Orleans, they got to stop. All right. And Derek Carr 3-and-out. Okay. And literally it was just so, it got so to the point it looked like ADD where I just kept popping back and forth. And then next thing you know, I'm looking and I'm like, all right, fuck it. 2-minute drill, Carolina, New Orleans. I'll watch New Orleans shut them down. And they just played like the weakest soft zone defense I've ever seen in my life. Like, again, and I've seen a lot of bad soft defenses. I watched a lot of Denver Broncos game with Vance Joseph as head coach. I had to watch them last week with the Washington Commanders. We'll get into that later, folks. Let me tell you, but this soft zone defense was literally the definition of don't lose. And they actually, like, we're one onside kick away from probably blowing it.
Yeah, blew the cover too. I mean, I think I speak for both of us. We would have made much more money had that come in.
Oh, just an extra 3 units. I had a 6-1 same game parlay plus going into this Monday night, and all I needed was New Orleans to cover 3. I needed Carolina to not get over 17.5, or 14, excuse me, over 14.5. I forget what the number was, but at the top of my head, I literally have it right here, though. And I needed the Steelers to win, and literally by New Orleans giving up that touchdown, pushing on the cover, I went from a 6-1 to 3-1. Luckily, it hit, and it's a good fucking day, but God, it just makes you wonder, like, down the line with this New Orleans team. This is the second game in a row they've won, but not covered.
Yeah, gonna have to really dig deep in that Packers Saints handicap. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, so let's just get into these Week 2 games. By the way, thoughts and prayers to Nick Chubb. Hopefully he has a quick recovery.
Oh, that was brutal.
That was a brutal knee injury. If you guys didn't see it, check it out on YouTube. Check it out on ESPN. The guy's knee.
If you have a strong stomach, I mean, that was brutal. That was
It's
really
not
brutal.
Joe Theismann level, thank goodness, but let me just say that it was. I felt that. I've broken my leg before, and even though I've never had a knee injury, but let me tell you, I felt that one. That was brutal to watch, and such a shame. It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Yeah.
But
Thoughts and prayers up.
anyways, Money Mansmann, I think we have a tradition at the Distinguished Degents when one of us has a profitable week, we start the next show off with our favorite thing, with gold, baby. Goldschlager for the winner.
Yeah, hallelujah. I wish I was there with you. I'd do a gold as well, but
yeah. That is unfortunate.
get that gold.
Very profitable day. I had 27 units in, had a return of 46 units. profited 19 all together throughout the week. And we'll definitely go through those bets. We'll go through the games, but as is tradition, Money Mansmann, cheers to you, sir. A profitable week. Winners get
Amen, brother. Yeah. I got very lucky because as we'll go through the games, I had a couple really brutal beats on Sunday, and it was looking like I was going to get waxed this week. And I went from 6 units down. This is how good Monday was. 6 units down to close to like 4.5 units up. Monday was a big day for me. Monday was a fucking big
talk
day.
about a difference maker. One day of betting, folks. That's the difference a day of betting can make. You could be really down, but the next day, you could be having gold too with us. But let's start with the Thursday night game from last week. Philadelphia Eagles, they hosted the Vikings. Vikings got the 6.5, 7-point spread, depending on where your book was. I was going to say, Eagles won 34-28. Thursday night, Kirk Cousins, my takeaway from this real quick, I didn't actually see like primetime Kirk Cousins. Kirk actually looked like he had a really, really decent game. Just a couple of unfortunate turnovers that would just seem like the worst time in that game. And again, like we kind of handicapped, and what I was worried about too, and I even called it in the week 1 recap and Thursday night prediction, I was worried that this Philly team was going to go up early and then just coast until the end of the game and give up the cover. And sure as hell, that's what happened. So my takeaway was that, like, I was kind of right on Philly, and I'm worried that they're going to keep continuing this trend, which is why I bet them -4.5, which, believe it or not, I sucked out of that one too. Thank you, Jake Elliott, for kicking a 61-yard field goal at the last second to give me the -4.5 cover. That was first bet that hit. And, with that said, that was just kind of the start for all things positive. But yeah, that was my takeaway. Like, I think Kirk Cousins is going to get a bad rep for this game, despite his really, really good performance. Vikings are down 0-2 for the season. I wonder how they're going to rebound next week. Money Mansmann, what were your thoughts on the game overall?
It's funny. That was the opposite because that game was my first one where I lost like 2 bets by half a point. And it was like the portend of things to come where you had gotten the break and got the Blake cover, and literally me, I got backdoored and lost. So, yeah, that was the portend for some of the struggles to come. But no, I mean, I think my big takeaway is just really both teams. Like, I don't know, man, Minnesota, 2 tough losses in games you feel like maybe they should have had better results. The Eagles, a couple closest type games. Like, I don't know what to make of this Eagles team. I think they're good, but I don't really know like how good. They're a confounding team to me. I'm really sort of struggling with them. I don't know if their defense is good. I don't know if their offense is good. They're a tough team to predict.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say they're game management type style, but I think with Howie Roseman and this Eagles team, like the general vibe that I get is just go out strong early in the first, get a big lead. If you have to play hard, play as hard as you can in the third, go up by 2 scores, and then just game manage the rest of it to not lose. And I think with this Eagles team, I mean, you could see it too. I mean, I don't remember the first half score exactly. I just know that they covered the 4.5.
13-7.
Yeah, thank you. Like, it was 13-7 at half, a 1-score lead. Philly got a couple breaks. I think they went up like 20.
Yeah.
Like 20-7, 27-7 early. And then they just game managed it to the point where they just didn't lose, but didn't seem to care about the cover, which if you're an NFL team, that's fine. But I just wonder if like this mentality of like don't blow it at the end is going to get them far when they actually face like a harder team.
And Hurts is not playing that great. He's been up and down to start the year, to say the least.
So. Very much so. The 49.5, the over hit in that game, I did. That was like one of the shocking trends, which we'll get into as well. A lot of overs in this game, and a lot more dogs covering than I also anticipated. But dog covered, over hit on this one though. So kicking off the 1 o'clock games, this one was another bad beat, especially for the CLV King himself. The Green Bay Packers couldn't get it done in Atlanta. They were, I believe they were Money Mansmann's No, actually, no. Were they my fade of the? No, they were going to be my fade of the week. I
They were
remember
my
having
best bet. Yeah.
that was
God.
Money Manson's best bet at -1. Aaron Jones ruled out. Christian Watson also ruled out. Pushed the line down to a +3 by opening kickoff. So for those bettors who've got it at +3, congratulations. We handicapped this. I think it was at 1.5 at the point. So the 1.5 did cover for Green Bay. However, by closing line, it was 3. They did not get the win, though, as a dog, and the over 40.5 hit as predicted. Money Mansmann, what do you give us the insight on your C of L King status here?
Yeah. I mean, it's just that's one of my strategies for this week to try and bet later because it seems like I'm always on the wrong side of like every one of these games. Like, doesn't matter which side too. Like, if I'm if I'm backing if I'm backing the favorite, the line goes up. If I'm backing the underdog, the line goes down. Like I don't seem to sort of have any luck with that. And of course, the Packers, I play on the money line. I don't play +1.5. I play them on the stupid money line. And of course, the one time, I put in Steelers +3.5 bets, but no, the Packers. Don't tease them. Like, again, I don't want to cry the whole episode about how bad my luck is. Really, I think the key takeaway of this, I hate to say it, but I mean, Atlanta's showing me a little something. Like, that was a gutsy performance. They were down, I think they were down 12, and it looked like Atlanta was just done. They were dead in the water. And then they really just kind of fought and clawed their way back into the game. There were no big turnovers, really. There was nothing even like a weird fumble or like they just clawed their way back in the game and won. So I hate to admit it. Good for them, and maybe I've undervalued them to start the year.
Yeah, my points to the game was number one. Green Bay's rush defense was absolutely pathetic against this Atlanta's rush offense. But let's still be honest, that is all that offense is still to me. I don't think that opinion has changed for me. I don't think Atlanta will go very far in terms of being a playoff caliber team, let alone leading the division, playing that type of game. Um, and the reason I say that is Derek Carr is literally a game away of getting his shit together before New Orleans is the clear front runner. But you also have Baker Mayfield, shockingly 2-0 right now. The Panthers seem to be the only dud out of that division currently at this point. But um, Atlanta, like, I think they finally realized just hand the ball to Bijan and just let him do his thing.
He's so fucking good, man. Bijan Robinson's a
It's so
fucking
crazy.
stud.
And Green Bay just had no answer to that rushing attack, and that was my takeaway. So I think if your team's looking in the future against this Atlanta team, stopping Bijan, you're just going to win.
Yeah.
Because that whole game, we were on the right side of that game. Green Bay was a clear underdog. We didn't know why. The whole game, they're leading, they're winning the game, and then they just give it up right at the end. Just because they couldn't stop Bijan, it sounds so simplistic, but that really is what happened. And sure
Yeah.
as hell, poor clock management, and they kick a field goal and you lose.
And last point on that, we were watching. God, it looks like Desmond Ritter is always like 5 feet away from throwing a killer interception, and it just didn't happen. And I'm just wondering how long like he's going to be able to survive doing that. Because if you rewatch that game, literally there was one drive where every throw he was about 6 inches away from throwing a pick six that was gonna, end the game.
Yeah, no, Desmond Ritter still cannot throw. I know in the final drive he made a couple plays, and had a couple good passes out there, but all those passes too, like even the ones that did connect, just seemed like they shouldn't have. It just seemed like they were half a yard short of being like a dead in the water, incomplete towards the ground, or what something that should be out of bounds or overhead but wasn't. The guy managed to catch it. So I'm going to be looking to fade Atlanta, I think, next week, but haven't handicapped that game yet, so that'll be next to come. Yeah, here's a team I think we need to add to the official auto fade list. Chicago Bears, they came in as 2.5 point road dogs against Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. wasn't really ever a question for the Bucks. They won 27-17. The over 41.5 hit there. That was the shit game of the week for the 1 o'clock slate. God, and you kind of have to start wondering whether Baker Mayfield's starting to find his groove again and whether this guy actually might be a real NFL quarterback. So, I mean, I could sit here all day and talk shit on how bad Justin Fields' performance was, how this guy just isn't a winner. But I mean, but to be fair, there were other sharks out there who were calling for Chicago to win this game outright, and it never once made sense to me. So it felt really good being able to fade other sharps for once and getting a W because that is a rare occurrence. But I think Baker Mayfield, he's starting to warm up. He might be starting to feel dangerous again. That's my handicap, or not my handicap. That was my takeaway from this, because this was a game. Let's be honest, Baker Mayfield. That's a game you kind of, if he lost that game, you kind of expected it. You wouldn't be too surprised. But for Baker Mayfield to come in, manage it as well as he did, get the passes off to Mike Evans as well as he did. And really, I think I'll double check the stats, but I want to say he got like 300 passing yards or something like that against, I mean, let's be honest, a piss poor Bears defense. But I mean, he also came back in that Vikings game. Yep, 317 yards, 1 touchdown. Had 114.5 QBR rating. Yeah, so like rather than talk shit on Justin Fields, like my takeaway is Baker Mayfield. Like he's quietly looking okay.
First off, just an interesting, like, who would have thought that the NFC South would have 3 2-0 teams? I mean, remember when, like, everyone was talking shit about how they were going to be the worst division in football and, like, a 7-win team was going to win the division? Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I think you said that. I was the one that was actually like, this could be a quiet dark horse race. And you told me I was out of my damn mind. But that's okay.
Well, we'll see by the end of the year. I don't think I was out on an island with that take. I think there were a lot of people who were following that.
Now, to be fair, if you look at who everybody's played, I think Baker Mayfield beating the Vikings was a crazy upset, but he also only played the Bears. You look at New Orleans, they played Carolina and they played Tennessee at home, which New Orleans is, for whatever reason, a hard place to play in anyways. And, Atlanta, I mean, they played Jordan Love in Green Bay at home, barely squeaked out of that one. And
Carolina.
So I think you're right. I think it is remaining to be seen, but it's looking close.
Yeah. My takeaway, I am going to talk shit on, like, Justin Fields draft. He's a bust. It's official. It's declared. Finally, he's a bust. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos out there of just how bad Justin Fields was against the Bucks. Like, literally wide open guys running down the sideline, and he just doesn't even, like, see him.
I saw the one where he had the receiver on the I think it was the Y. He had the inside Y running a straight vert, and he was wide open in the end zone, and Justin Fields just completely misses him.
I think he's 5-17 now as a starter. Like, this guy is
still hasn't won against the NFC on the road.
He is the next Ohio State quarterback draft bust. CJ Stroud will be joining him soon. Numbers notwithstanding. But that's my takeaway for that. The Bears are complete auto fade, like almost unbettable. I mean, and they're playing Kansas City this week. Good luck if you want to bet the Bears. I wish you all the best if you're going to do that this week.
God, yeah, that's going to be another game. I think it's going to be interesting when it comes down to handicapping. But yeah, the Bears, I think you have to throw them on our auto fade list. This is, I think we've just seen too many games where we know how this is going to go.
No, they look really bad. Yeah.
Now, speaking of games we kind of got right, Seattle Seahawks going to Detroit, 4.5-point road dogs. They got it done in overtime, 37-31. This was my over of the week. And literally, like, another game that I just feel like, kind of want to sit on my high horse here. I called this game damn near to a T. I said, this is just going to be reminiscent of the last time they played.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, not much has changed, but on the other hand, like, they just got new personnel, new players, but it's just going to be a similar type matchup. And Seattle just has had Detroit's number for whatever reason. And the fact that it took to overtime kind of surprised me a little bit. C.J. Gardner-Johnson for Detroit, not from Philly. I forget the YouTuber's guy, but he correctly called me out on week 1 when I said he was a Philadelphia Eagle. He did go to Detroit, and I meant to say that was for Darius Slay, but that's
No,
okay.
that was Darius Slay.
Yeah,
That was
I mixed
Darius
up the
Slay.
two. But what I meant to say was I mixed up the two. So again, screwing up here again, just to
Take
prove
the
this
L.
point. Yeah. Bottom line, like Detroit, Seattle. Are we gonna start doubting Geno again? And is he just gonna keep writing us back? I mean, I don't know really what else to say. He just did really good.
Yeah, I don't think we doubted Gino. We were both on that game. I mean, that was one of my contest plays, 4-1 in my contest, by the way.
Good job. Look at
Uh,
that.
no, Seahawks, you're exactly right. We expected a game reminiscent of the last one. And, that was a pure, like, overreaction Sunday type game. I mean, the Seahawks were not as bad as they played week 1, and I expected Detroit's defense to, not play as well as they did week 1. And, I think both teams are going to be good. Certainly no sort of downgrading to anyone. I really just think that the Seahawks were sort of, I think a lot of people overreacted with Seattle. Week 1, they play a team they always struggle against. And all of a sudden it was like, Seattle's fraudulent. They suck. They're crap. Geno's a bum. And it was like, really? After, one game, and the
Yeah,
Seahawks even came into the game banged up. So that was a big win for them. And now all of a sudden, oh my God, the Seahawks are good. Like, they're going to win the next 4 games. I was like, okay.
I think what people forgot too was that if you rewatch any of the highlights from Detroit, Kansas City, what was my takeaway from that game? My takeaway was that Kansas City didn't get it done, but they
Yeah.
could have. Like
If they
Detroit
caught the
could have
ball,
won.
they would have, yeah. Yeah.
Their defense sure as hell stepped up, but Jared Goff didn't. This time around, it just seemed like the opposite, where Jared Goff did step up, but the defense from Detroit they couldn't stop a nosebleed on the ground, and they really couldn't stop DK Metcalf either. Oddly enough, that my big takeaway there. It was close type of matchup we expected. I know we could have lost that one. I mean, but the fact it went to overtime, the fact that the game was close from minute 1 till right when it did end, tells me I was at least on the right side of it for another game there. That was a leg 1 of my 3-leg teaser I had, so I had it boosted to 11.5. So once I went to overtime, that was money in the basket there. Like I said, over the week, over 47. Back to my again. Just neither of these teams' defenses really did anything spectacular, and this was the type of game Detroit at home hit the over.
Yeah.
All right. Next game, I'll let you take the reins on this one. Your Buffalo Bills, they came in 8.5-point home favorites against your Las Vegas Raiders and Jimmy G. Fake fan here, Money Mansmann. Over under 47. Over under 47. The over 47 hit. Actually, to my surprise, I thought that number was a bit high, but Buffalo basically told me to shove it. Money Mansmann's first comments out of his mouth when me and him were watching the game. Anyone who bet on the Bills minus 8.5 is a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I thought so.
And not only that, you actually advertised on the week 2 episode to take the Raiders plus 8.5. I didn't listen to you. I took money on the Bills minus 8.5. 2 units in.
I didn't play it. That was emotion talking. I didn't play Raiders 8.5 or 8 or whatever.
That is fair. But
no, honestly, though, the takeaway from the game really has nothing to do with the Bills. There were people talking about that the Raiders might be a sneaky team, that they're better than people thought. They're not. The Bills, they beat up bad teams, and that's what the Raiders proved themselves to be. Like Jimmy G, I mean, he's not a game changer. Like he is what we thought he is. He's Derek Carr 2.0. He didn't add anything to the game. The Raiders couldn't run the ball to save their lives. The Bills just sort of manhandled them. It was an ass whooping. Like it was a complete ass whooping. And the Raiders, again, they are who we thought they were. They'll play tough against, middling teams. But, teams like the Bills and I guess higher level competition, they're going to put teams like the Raiders in their place. And I guess just one comment on the Bills. I mean, this is why it's so hard to be a Bills fan, because you look at a game like that and it's just, if you could get that every week, we're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but next week, Josh Allen could go and fumble the ball 4 times and throw 7 interceptions. And it's just so frustrating.
Diggs could get 180 yards and still lose. And also he could get no targets and the Bills could still win. The inconsistency with the Bills, that is sort of a takeaway that I appreciate. But yeah, for me, I don't know if Josh McDaniels really is to fault here. He came into a really hard situation coming off, let's be honest, a big win against Denver, a team they always win. And Buffalo just sort of had to remind the world of who they were. And this was a good get right bounce back game for the Bills. Looking forward to seeing what they do next week against the Commies. I'll be cheering for you guys because I'm still pretty fucking bitter about that game, which we will get into here shortly, folks. But otherwise, I mean, I didn't expect the Raiders to get completely shut out in the second half, but no, when Buffalo's on their A game, they are pretty much unstoppable. Nobody can. And I will tell you this: if Buffalo keeps that style of play up and they have to go up against the Kansas City, I actually would really, really love your chances this year, because the way Kansas City has been playing, which actually, damn, it's not the next game. I thought it was. I'll hold those thoughts, but like you said, if Buffalo plays the way they did against the Raiders, they're going to be unstoppable.
Tell you what, man, if their defense keeps going the way they have, they'll be in almost every game. So that's good.
Yes, sir. All right, and finally, the Titans, home dogs, +2.5 against the LA Chargers, and Brandon Staley once again could not get it done in overtime. Tennessee Titans drove the ball, kicked the game-winning field goal to win outright, 27-24. Over under the over 45 hitting that one. Yeah, maybe I said it was a premature take that to get off the train, and Vrabel proved me wrong once again. The Titans are my team. I just can't. I love to bet them, but I can't ever seem to really win with them. When I don't bet them, they win. So I don't know if I can get a grasp on this team. I don't know what they are yet, truth be told. It just seems like Brandon Staley blew another close game. Then it really does feel like a Tennessee Titans outright win and blowout. But Mansmann, what were your thoughts on that game? I
said it at the end of the game. Justin Herbert is just a loser. Like, I hate to be that guy. The guy is just a loser. The Chargers are just losers. Brandon Staley is a loser. I mean, no offense, there were ample opportunities for the Chargers to put that game away. Ample opportunities. Yeah. And, the people who want to go and quote Herbert's stats, and he had 300 yards passing, and, I mean, no offense, Derek Carr had a lot of 300-yard passing games and lost. He's just a loser. He never seems to make the big throw. Say what you will about Carr. I don't want to get on too, but like in that Saints game, he makes a big throw at the end of the game to put him, for like that touchdown that essentially sealed the game. Like it just, Jalen Hurts, like these other quarterbacks seem to be able in certain games to make big throws. And it just seems like every game in a close game, like Herbert 3 and out, he doesn't make the throws, he doesn't make the play, and the Chargers lose. And how many times are the Chargers going to lose these close games before, like, we look at ourselves and say, well, this Chargers team just isn't that good? They're not that good.
Do you think not having Austin Eckler played a role in this loss whatsoever?
I mean, they couldn't run the ball. Kelly really sort of struggled running the ball. But at the end of the day, like, you had a chance to win the game, and just at some point you have to pull out a win. Like, it's every year, and it's this quarterback. It's just, you can't be a top quarterback in the league, and you can't pull out a win. The other ones do it.
As much as I wanted to blame Kellen Moore for this, because there were just too many 3 and outs for this Chargers team, that made you have to wonder what kind of play calls were they running out there. But I think you're 100% right. there was enough opportunity for Herbert to make something happen. Guys like Patrick Mahomes, guys like Josh Allen, guys like why am I losing it? Jalen Hurts. I mean, God sakes, guys like Joe Burrow even make the plays when it matters most. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't always happen, but it just seems like every close game or every game they get a big lead, they then turn around and choke it away. It's like through their own doing, though. Like they're literally shooting themselves in the foot.
I mean, didn't Herbert, wasn't it another one where they had the ball inside the 10 and he took a sack and then they kicked the field goal? I mean, it's just like
they were in the red zone and then he had to scramble out. And yeah, he took a sack and then I think that was second down. Then third down, it happened again. They ended up having to punt. Like, how many times are we going to see this Chargers team? And how many times, like, do I have to keep, like, warning these people that are, like, Chargers fans and think that they're going to be hot shit? They're nothing more than a 500 team. That's all they have been. Like,
maybe worse. Maybe worse.
Herbert, say what you. I like Herbert's like talent on the field. I think he's definitely a franchise guy somewhere. But this LA Chargers team, at least under Brandon Staley and whatever they got going right now, they're not going to win like any playoff games. They're not going to win the Super Bowl.
No, Brandon Staley's a bum. This guy almost went for it 4th and 4 from the 10 earlier in the game. Like the guy has no sense of.
I mean, they had like what, a 10-point lead against Miami week 1. Week 2, they have a lead against the Titans, blew it again. I mean, this Chargers defense too. I think that's another point that needs to be addressed. When are we going to blame this Chargers defense too? Like this team in general, not a good team. Like they just are not disciplined. They cannot get it done. The Chargers defense can't seem to get a stop at any point. I mean, both teams. Like you let the Titans last week, who even the Saints held to 14. And the times before that, the New Orleans, like let's be honest, the Titans were like what 3.5, 4-1 odds to win the division this year. A team that's not supposed to be good, and you let this team come in and not only get 24 to tie it, you let them win. You let them kick a field goal in overtime.
Yeah,
this defense is just despicable.
I mean, last week they were talking about Tannehill might be, and he looked like completely sort of lost, and the Chargers miraculously, and even in the beginning of the game, he looked terrible. But the Chargers just, I don't know, man, they just don't finish. They're just not good. They're just bad.
Yeah, we didn't get that game right. Chargers lost the cover. They lost the money line. Over 45 hit on that one as well. A lot of these games, folks, they're going to be over hits. Just a spoiler alert if you didn't know already. All right. Speaking of overs, and once again, this was a warning I try to throw out to you, Money Mansmann. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he doesn't lose as an underdog. Covered the 3-point spread. They actually got the win outright, 27-24. The over 46.5 hit. Lamar Jackson now is 6-1 against the Bengals. 6-1 ATS. He's gotten a lot of covers there. Monty Mansmann, Joe Burrow still didn't look really good. He looked very underwhelming in this game too, in my opinion. But better performance than last week against Cleveland. So, I mean, overall, what's your thoughts here?
That was the hard sort of lesson for this one. The Joe Burrow injury is real. And he actually admitted after the game that he retweaked his calf, and that's why the line is sort of where it is now, Rams-Bengals. But, yeah, the Joe Burrow injury is real. And, yeah, I mean, this Cincinnati offense did nothing in the game against the Ravens. Like, for the most part, zero. I mean, I think they got a, defensive turnover or two to keep the game close. I mean, that's the big takeaway. Joe Burrow, the injury is a real thing. The Bengals offense is struggling. And no offense, I don't think anybody is rushing to play sort of, to put money on that vaunted Bengals defense. I mean, vaunted Bengals defense said nobody ever. So, that was my big takeaway from that game.
Yeah, this one was I don't want to say I'm happy I was right, but I'm happy that I was on the right side of it. Because I think your takeaway with Lamar and how he looked in week 1, actually carried a lot over into week 2. I mean, just looking at it, he did get 237 passing yards, it looks like, 2 touchdowns. It looks very stat packed, but a lot of these throws, a lot of these plays that they ran, I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. gets hurt, and the Ravens just again, it's a team that you look at them on paper, and you think this team should be lights out. They should be number 1 in the league, but you watch them play, and it's a lot like what we said with Desmond Ridder earlier. There's just a lot of times you wonder if Lamar Jackson's going to turn the ball over. You just wonder, is he going to take a sack and go 3 and out? But yeah, my similar takeaway: Joe Burrow, the injury is 100% real. On top of that, so I think the Ravens sort of got lucky to squeak away with that one interception thrown by Burrow and no fumble. So
really, that interception was a killer. On the goal line, he throws that. I mean, that was brutal.
Yeah, tough AFC North division game, kind of what I expected, and just glad to be on the right side of that. But yeah, the Joe Burrow injury, it might be real. It might be something to remember going down the line. And hopefully he gets better, but we'll see. All right, yeah, this game arguably could be donkey pick of the week for me. The Houston Texans, they went up against the Indianapolis Colts. The Texans went down to a -1 pick'em. They were a dog, I think, at 1.5 at opening. Texans lost 31-20. Anthony Richardson out with a concussion in the first half. Unfortunate for my fantasy team, but fortunately for the Colts, they had Gardner Minshew, and spoiler alert, Gardner Minshew is still better than any Ohio State quarterback going into the NFL. So yeah, takeaway there, the Texans did the Texans. They even when something goes their way, and even when there's an opportunity for them to get an easy win, essentially, they just still lose.
Yeah.
That game was a lot closer. The score was a lot closer than what the game actually was.
There was some garbage. There was some garbage stuff going on there. Yeah, I mean, look, it's shout out to Let's Talk Jets Radio. That's a channel that we sort of enjoy watching every once in a while. But it goes to show you some of these teams why they go crazy about getting a legitimate backup quarterback. Because, yeah, I mean, really the only takeaway from that is, Colts will be perfectly okay with Gardner Minshew if he has to fill in for a couple games. He's just a solid backup quarterback. He knows what he's doing. And against a bad Texans team, I mean, I thought Texans would give a little more, but yeah, they got curb stomped. That was bad.
Yeah, I did not. Anthony Richardson, in the couple drives we did see him, I mean, he looked pretty good, and it looked like there was a reason that the Colts drafted him as high as they did. And it looks like, I mean, if he stays healthy, it actually might pan out for the Colts. So that's a guy, and that's a team I'm going to keep an eye on here.
Banged up twice in 2 weeks, though, man. That's not a good sign.
No, it definitely isn't. Maybe I'm hoping he takes a week or two to recover. He doesn't try to be Superman out there. But I like what I see. My takeaway was I liked what I saw with Anthony Richardson. He had a lot of command presence in the pocket. He was able to scramble out. I mean, he rushed in for 2 touchdowns like it was nothing. And I know we say that the Texans team was a bad team, but you have to also keep in mind this is another rookie quarterback going into his second NFL start. Guy didn't look like a week 2 guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, moving on, we're going into, I want to say, the last 1 o'clock game. This was my under of the week. Under 51.5 hit here. By the way, under 39.5 was the pick for the Houston game. Didn't even come close. Here's the one under that did hit, though. Kansas City, Jacksonville. Jacksonville, Money Mansmann. I say that crazy things happen in Jacksonville all the time, and teams going into Jacksonville, just weird shit just seems to happen all the time. And my takeaway here, Chiefs. But let me get the score out real quick.
17-9.
Yeah, Chiefs won 17-9. Chiefs got the cover -3.5. That was another game that just from jump, it was a horrible, ugly game. Patrick Mahomes looked like he was washed. He didn't know what he was doing. He looked like he couldn't do anything right. And then he just turned the Jets on by the second half and sort of took the game over. on his own back, but I did not like what I saw whatsoever with Kansas City. And also an indictment on Jacksonville, too. They might be a one and done sort of division type winner here.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes proves why he's Mahomes because, like we said before, it's just a couple big plays when his team needs them, big drive when he needs them. They do enough. But honestly, I mean, Kansas City's defense was, I mean, they stifled the Jags. That was surprising because you don't normally think of Kansas City's defense being the impetus of the team, but they really stifled Jacksonville. Jacksonville couldn't
Yeah.
get really anything done in that game. And yeah, in the battle of sort of, two quarterbacks, Mahomes is just, once again, he made a couple more plays to win. So that was a good hit. That was a good winner there. Happy
That
about
was a
that.
good hit. I had my DraftKings no sweat bet on. Was it the no sweat or was it the up 10? Looking at. Oh no, neither. No, I have Kansas City money line here because for the longest time I was concerned about that 3.5. Personally, I'm glad I bet the money line when I did because it was only minus 150 when I grabbed it, and it was a bit chalky, but I think it went up to minus 180, minus 190 by kickoff. So again, early bird gets the worm, and early bird gets to profit more. So
Yeah,
that was a good win on my
I got
end.
2.5 in the contest. So that
Oh,
was
look at you.
that was
Yeah.
nice.
By the way, I had a Ravens same game parlay that hit as well, which was Mark Andrews touchdown, Gus Edwards over yards, Ravens to win, Bengals under 24.5 points. Barely got through that one, but that was a nice 9-1 same game parlay that hit for me. But yeah, Kansas City money line, that was my only play I had there. I did have the under in a teaser that I believe did not hit, unfortunately. And the reason it didn't hit is actually not because of this game, but it is because of the Broncos game. But we're going to go into the next game here on our list. It's the San Francisco 49ers. They went into LA. They went in with their home jerseys, and they honestly kind of proved my point wrong when I handicapped this game. I thought the Rams, as good as Matt Stafford did look, I think the Niners just proved why they're the better team here and why they're the division front runners. And maybe when Cooper Kupp comes back, the Rams team will make a difference. But shout out to my personal degen of the week, Sean McVay, kicking the field goal with 4 seconds to go to get the cover for me. That
Yeah,
was a
that was
nice
fun.
that was a nice 2-unit return on my end just for having the Rams plus
Yeah.
7.
That's it,
Or
because
plus
I had
7.5.
an alternate total bet that field goal killed it, and Miami won, and that bet would have hit. But that was my week. And let me just real quick, the people complaining about what McVay did, no, there was nothing wrong with what he did. It's not like his team sort of like quit and allowed themselves not to cover. Like he played to the final whistle. San Francisco could have stopped him. They could have prevented that field goal from happening.
Yep.
So perfectly okay. He wants to cover the spread, as long as he's not betting on the game or anything. More,
Right.
more power to him.
Now, I mean, the only argument I will personally entertain, there was 4 seconds on the clock. Was he thinking maybe I get 1 second? Maybe we do an onside kick. Maybe we throw a Hail Mary, see what happens. I don't think that's what happened because clearly the guy kicked the field goal. He was ready to be done with the game. And at that point, the Rams were losing. They weren't going to win this game. And I think for Sean McVay, you know what? Let's go out with the last points of the game. Let's give our team something to hang their heads up high on. They had a good drive. We got points on the board. I don't think it was anything to do with the cover. That's just my personal opinion. But
Yeah.
no, I have nothing wrong with what McVay did.
No, nothing. And yeah, I mean, I think, this game, I didn't really learn sort of anything. I mean, I guess the Rams kept it closer than maybe I thought they would, but the Niners they proved that they were a good team. That they just win these games.
Yep. All right. Money Mansmann, we're going to have to talk on Friday when we do our week 3 handicap here. You, sir, owe me 1 incinerator for
Oh,
this
this
game,
game
the
was, yeah,
Giants and the Cardinals.
yeah.
Cardinals unfortunately did not get the win. They did get the cover at 4.5 though. The G-Men second half comeback, maybe one of the biggest ones in history too. The
Yeah.
G-Men get it done 31-28. The over hit in that game as well. Yeah, I tried to tell you this Giants team is really, really bad. It took them 6 quarters for Daniel Jones to get the first points on the board for the year. And say what you will about Joshua Dobbs and this Cardinals organization, they put up a hell of a valiant effort in a game they really had no business in. It is unfortunate they got the loss, but and it really sucks that they actually blew the game. I was actually kind of hoping they would win, but
Me
yeah,
too, honestly, at that point.
again, that was another weird game where, like, yeah, I got it wrong because I thought Arizona might actually pull this off, but I was on the right side of the cover, which I got a bet on, not just against you two, but
You know how frustrating it was when, like, the Giants come back and they're going to win by 3, and it's like everything that's happening doesn't matter. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know whether to start with Arizona because they did give it up. Like I know people are enraged about McVay with the whole cover. What about this Arizona team? Like, is this like the tank for Caleb Williams situation where, like, the owner comes in at halftime? Hey guys, we're trying to lose. We're trying to lose here. Now, Buda Baker for the Cardinals, he's going to be out for the season. Now he's placed on IR. Another unfortunate. Saquon Barkley, another unfortunate injury for the Giants. But that was just a game that, like, you're on the right side of it. You're watching it. You're hoping this team comes out and wins, and then they just blow it. And
I mean, the Cardinals aren't going to get them. I think the Bears are worse. Like, this Cardinals team is going to win a few games, I feel like. They're not. I mean, I think they definitely showed good, something good in that first half. And, I think the takeaway for the game is really maybe not what you'd expect it to be. Flowchart type game. I think the Cardinals
yeah,
now, 8 straight covers against the NFC East? Like, that's a
not
stat
8
that
or
you
9. Like,
really
yeah,
need to take. And I sort of brushed it aside as a quirky thing, and I should have stopped and really thought about it more because that's just crazy. They always seem to cover against the NFC East. And guess who they play this week? Another NFC East team.
yeah, they do.
Am I crazy enough? Cardinals plus 13 against the Cowboys. Tune in to find out.
Yeah, that's gonna be. What the heck?
You're still there.
All
I
right.
see you.
I'm here. Yeah, there's a phone ringing in my headphones. But that's okay. Here, I'll jump to the next game while we're waiting. Yeah, speaking of that NFC East team that they're about to play, the Dallas Cowboys got it done against Zach Wilson and the Jets, 30-10. Pretty much a blowout. Pretty much what we expected here. I know the popular takeaway that everyone's out there talking about right now is how Zach Wilson isn't the guy. And I hate the idea of having to do this, but I think we need to start talking about, are we going to start taking Dallas as serious as a team? Because they put 30 up against this Jets defense who shut down Josh Allen. And they did it like it was nothing. Dak Prescott, say what you will, I don't think he had one interception in that
Well,
game.
it helps when you don't heave, 3 balls into the end zone, 3 fucking YOLO balls.
31 for 38, 2 touchdowns, 255 yards. CeeDee Lamb got 143, 11 catches. That's my takeaway, is that this Jets defense is not as good as people want them to be. I know this Jets team got a lot of wins last year, but they reminded me a lot of that whole DVOA situation with Minnesota. They kind of got a lot of lucky breaks. They got a lot of things go their way at times. And I just think now we're going to start seeing, like, when the Jets actually start playing these teams from jump, and they don't like have Zach Wilson succeed at all whatsoever, that this defense is just going to crater and tire out by the third. But yeah, I think we need to start taking this Dallas team pretty seriously. I know they played the Giants, I know they played the Jets, but they've only allowed 10 points in 2 games. I don't think it matters who you're playing. That's like a very impressive defensive stat on my end. And Dak Prescott not fucking up like we are used to seeing. So I'm starting to get concerned, Mansmann. I know it's only week 3, but
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think Dallas is good, but I think you're sort of seeing the reverse Aaron Rodgers effect in that, I mean, the Jets were incredibly, massively overrated because of Hard Knocks, because of Aaron Rodgers, and they got talked up, and their defense was the best thing ever. I mean, people forget in that Bills game, the Bills in the second half could not tie their own shoes. Josh Allen was stumbling, fumbling, throwing interceptions. He still led them down the field to get the tie in overtime. Like, people forget about that. And that was something, that was sort of, Jets fans were raising, like, about the defense. They're talking about they're going to be the 85 Bears. And you forget, because the Jets ended up winning the game, that the vaunted defense, when they needed a stop against Josh Allen, who basically couldn't throw a football, was able to drive down the field to kick a field goal to tie the game. And, yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's real simple. Zach Wilson's not an NFL quarterback. You're not going to win with him. Just that simple.
No. Yeah, I think that's all you need to take away from that game as far as the Jets side. But just again, trying to be a little different here. Jets. I think we know what what's gonna happen with them at this point. But Dallas, I think they're going to be a hot team to look forward to, and another team I'm going to be scared to see down the line. I'm going to see what happens. All right, yeah, let's get into this one. Commies came into Denver. They were 3.5-point dogs. Got it. Somehow, okay, you know what? I'm not even going to say somehow they got it done. I'm not even going to pretend. I'm going to call it like I see it, and I don't fucking care what the bias is. They won 35-33 because of a blown PI call on the 2-point conversion. We throw a Hail fucking Mary. We somehow catch this ball. And Money Mansmann will tell you guys, I gave up on this game. I was done by the fourth quarter because I was like, I know we're going to lose. Like, this is just what happens.
After slamming pillows and punching the couch, you were just done.
Yeah, I was done. Told him to turn the game off, and he turns, and it's a Hail Mary, and I'm like, fuck it, I got to see this shit. Like, I know this is going to be bad. And he fucking catches it, and I'm like, no, this can't be happening. Just no. And then first of all, the play before that, which doesn't get brought up, there was a massive PI call that was missed on Cortland Sutton on the sideline on the first throw with like 10 seconds left, 11 seconds left. Completely blown PI call there. They get a Hail Mary. They catch it. Blown PI call again on Cortland Sutton. That just seems to be the fucking curse of Sean Payton. Just blown PI calls that don't get thrown. And it's just unbelievable. And I swear to God, like, I joked with you with this. I joked about this with some of my coworkers. Refs are fucking terrorists when it comes to this NFL league. With just the inconsistency. So are UFC judges, by the way. UFC judges, they're also terrorists. And we'll get into that in the next UFC episode because we're definitely going to bring that up. But NFL refs are just the fucking worst at times. Just their inconsistency.
Yeah, that was a really badly ref game.
This was a horribly ref game, number one. That was my number one takeaway. Number two, a lot of Denver chatter. They're blaming Vance Joseph on this, but I think this is a game we as Broncos fans, we need to blame personnel. We need to blame the guys on the defense. You're Kareem Jackson. You already had one fine for targeting last week in week 1, and you go and do this shit again in the red zone, and then you get kicked out of the game, and you want to start a fight over it. Fuck you, dude. Like, I think we need to cut bait with Kareem Jackson. He is not good. This guy has blown so many throws and has caused so much unnecessary bullshit at times. And just undisciplined. I don't know what the hell Vance Joseph has been trying to do. But I swear, my handicap from the futures was we lost to Jairo Evero, we lost the discipline. We're not going to be as good on defense. And we let Sam Howell come back from, what was it, a 21-3 lead? We let
Yeah.
Sam Howell come back 35. Unfucking believable. And unfortunately, Russ had a really good game, had a lot of hell of a throws to Marvin Mims that's just now going to be forgotten because one bad fumble, not even like he really fucked it up, just got sort of unfortunate and just couldn't get a lot done there late in the game. My overall takeaways, I'm blaming Denver personnel and referees. I think it's a combination of the two. Just so fucking unfair.
Yeah.
Just unfair.
Yeah, my takeaway from the game, Denver's one of those teams where it's like, and you know me, I was high on them, I really thought. And it looked like in the start of the game, I thought it was going to be an easy win for Denver. They're just one of those teams, like, you just can't bet them as favorites. Like, it's just insanity to do so. I mean, they just, like, find ways to lose, and I don't understand. Like, they should be better. Their defense should be better. Their offense, you see the glimpses, it should be better. And it's like, that's a game how do you lose that game? I mean, Washington is, I'm not sold on them. And we're going to see. Remember, the Bills beat bad teams. If Washington really sucks, the Bills will win by 3 touchdowns again this week.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due. Sam Howell did get the comeback win. It wasn't like it was all for nothing. But I just think that a lot of bad refereeing in that game that just didn't seem to go Denver's way, just seemed to all go towards Washington's way. It seemed like that they didn't want to call a PI on anyone that plays for Sean Payton. But also, like, this Denver defense just so fucking undisciplined, giving up 32 points in the second half.
Yeah.
Because, like, you cannot, as a team, there's no excuse. And say what you will about Arizona, that's kind of the same thing. You were up like 28-0. I forgot what the damn score was, of course. But Arizona was up on the Giants, like, big in the second half, and they blew that game too. Like, and if I was a Cardinals fan, that's all on the defense. And Joshua Dobbs can only do so much. I think he even got a second half touchdown too. Same with Russ. So it's just like, how much more can you really?
Yeah, but see, Arizona, I understand because of the momentum. Like, it just seemed like in that game, it was completely, like, you could just tell when the Giants were coming back, it was like they didn't know what to do at that point. Denver, it just sort of like, I don't know, it didn't, I guess there was a momentum element there, but I don't know. Denver, the difference was it wasn't like a late field goal at the end of the game. I mean, we forget the Hail Mary. Like, Washington was up, 35-24 late in that game?
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't Denver sort of just got outlasted. I mean, they got their doors blown off in the second half.
Yeah. Just not even close. Just bad coaching, bad defensive coaching, bad defensive personnel out there, not getting stops. Just
they needed to do an onside kick to start the second half. That's what they needed to do.
Oh, for fuck's sakes! I swear to God, if I ever sleep that shit again, I might break something. All right, I'm done with this Broncos game for now. We'll see if I get back on the train with them next week. All right, Sunday Night Football, Miami Dolphins. They got it done against the New England Patriots in New England. Dolphins got the -2.5 cover. The over hit, the under hit that game. One of the few unders, under 46.5 there. That was my best bet of the week. Mac Jones still sucks in prime time. Tua Tagovailoa shockingly has pretty good performances. Nothing really changed here in this game. I know New England made it look close towards the end, but it just didn't really ever seem like New England was going to have a chance in that one.
Yeah. I think, my takeaway is New England's still going to be dangerous just because, not like dangerous like a playoff team, but dangerous in terms of betting wise, just because you could tell, like, Belichick's still a good coach and they're playing sort of up to what I think their, talent is. I mean, when you look at what they did with that blocked field goal, like, Belichick's still doing innovative shit. And we talked about the numbers. I was on Miami too. Um, Miami did what I expected them to do. They always seem to beat New England, especially Tua always seems to beat New England. But again, New England put forward a tough effort, close to I think they were driving and just sort of missed out on a fourth down. So yeah, they're gonna be tough. I'm really interested in this game against the Jets. Definitely taking a long look at that one. Little teaser there, so stay tuned for
Yeah,
that.
I gotta say, this game though, I don't want to say this was all too. This was pretty much a Raheem Mostert or
Yeah,
Raheem Mostert. He
Mostert
had
had
a
a big year.
big game here, and New England's run defense again just couldn't seem to stop him or find a way to stop him. And I think this is just a positive note for Mike McDaniels going up against Bill Belichick once again. I think Bill Belichick, as good of a coach as he is, he's certainly going to be a Hall of Famer. But I just think Belichick needs to reinvent the wheel here. He needs to find ways to beat these new schemes and uh, these new coaches coming in with these hybrid type players. I mean, if you can't stop Raheem Mostert and you let him get 120 yards, there's something going wrong with defense.
Well, I think they were trying desperately to stop Tyreek Hill, but I mean the problem is like you could be a good coach and sort of like play up to your talent. Like I think Brian Daboll was a big reason why the Giants win that game. Seemed like he really motivated the team, and whatever happened in the second half, whatever adjustments they made, I mean, you saved the season. But at the end of the day, you still need the horses to do it. And I'm just wondering, like, if Belichick just doesn't have the horses anymore. Like Mac Jones is like average to below average quarterback.
I think Mac Jones is a lot better than we think. At least this year for sure. I mean, I'm looking at his stats here: 31 for 42, 231 yards, one touchdown. I mean, that's pretty good completion wise. He even got a touchdown to Hunter Henry again. Prop I missed out on, but that's okay. I thought about betting it, didn't throw it out there, so let's not pretend. But I don't think it's a personnel thing. I mean, they got Juju Smith-Schuster, they got the ghost of Devontae Adams, they got Hunter Henry, they have Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott. So I don't think it's a personnel thing so much. I really think it just comes down to this old school coaching mechanism he had that worked with a guy like Tom Brady who could get things done and could motivate a tree to grow in 50 feet by the next day if it needed to be done. And this isn't a leadership argument. My point is that it seems like to me watching Bill Belichick coach and play, he's still stuck in that like late 2010 mentality of how football is played. And we're in 2023 where teams like San Francisco, say what you will, I don't know if it's Kyle Shanahan's favorite scheme to play, but he knows it's the scheme that wins. Mike McDaniels, same thing. Maybe it's not the scheme he wants, but he actually looks like he has fun drawing this up, and it looks like he just knows what to scheme up to get the victory. And that's just the kind of coaching nowadays in the NFL that's going to get you to success more so than the Belichick old school.
Yeah, maybe could be right.
Maybe that was my takeaway. I mean, I know it's a little off the cuff and unusual, but that was what I took from that game. All right, but that was my best bet. That was 4 for 4 of my best bets that week. Going to Monday Night Football, we mentioned this earlier, so we'll try to keep this brief already. New Orleans got the win against Carolina. Once again, though, blew the cover. They didn't get the 3. The under of – sorry, that was not my under of the week. That was earlier. My other underplay, though, under 40. So had a good number of bets on this game. New Orleans money line up 10 early. That cashed. Money line and under 40 points total. That cashed. Had a same game parlay plus. New Orleans, Carolina under, what did I say? 17.5. Under 17.5. That hit with my other leg for, the Steelers money line. So that was a nice 8-1 return. Had a really good profitable Monday night. So that was just 3 bets for me. Money Mansmann, I'm going to defer to you on this one. But what was the biggest point in that New Orleans Carolina game for you?
Two very quick ones. Bryce Young really struggling mightily. Doesn't look very good at all. Played two sort of tough defenses, but doesn't look good at all. Number one. Number two, if Carr could just play a little bit better with the Saints defense, watch out. The Saints will be a legitimate sort of, a team to watch out for in the playoffs because they got a great defense, but God, their offense is brutal to watch sometimes. So, two quick ones.
I think my takeaway was that the Saints defense has played two really mediocre offenses. Let's be honest. Ryan Tannehill on the road didn't really look good. You got Bryce Young didn't look really good. This Saints team are on fraud alert. Derek Carr, literally like one text I got from my coworker, Derek Carr he looks very Derek Carr right now. And like, I know what that means. It looks like a guy who can't get the big throw. It looks like he can't put a drive together. It looks like he's one mistake away from blowing the game. Couldn't find his head out of his ass. But kind of like what you said earlier, like when it mattered most, when they needed to get the play done, Derek Carr got the throw to Chris Olave, got them into the red zone. They got the touchdown to essentially put the game away. But then, like, I know you said this New Orleans defense, watch out. That was, again, the worst 2-minute drive for a defense I've seen. Not just all season, but I've seen in a long time.
Oh, that wasn't pretty. That was not pretty.
Mind you, we watched 13 seconds, the Hail Murray.
No, the 13 seconds was worst. That was the worst.
That was heartbreaking. But, like, I'm talking about in terms of, like, pure defense. Like, we watched 13 seconds. We watched the Hail Murray.
13 seconds was the worst I've ever seen in my life.
This was bad.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
I say this again. I know the Saints are 2-0. They're not getting covers, and these are only 3-point covers. This team's on my fraud alert list. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do next week with them, but they may be potential fade territory here. I'm telling you, Derek Carr he still doesn't look good. He still doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. He doesn't look like he's any better from his time with the Raiders. I think they were very, very, very lucky to get out of that one with the win. And especially, too, with that Saints defense playing the worst soft zone coverage I've ever seen for a 2-minute drill. Yeah, I know you're only 7 wins. I know you're only 8 wins away from hitting that case of beer bet. I'm still not scared right now.
Yeah.
But, my takeaway is Saints could be flawed.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, remains to be seen. Remains to be seen.
Now, here we go. Last game, Cleveland. They went into Pittsburgh. It looked like they were going to get it done. They unfortunately lost Nick Chubb to injury, like we brought up earlier. I would say the Pittsburgh Steelers came back and won this one, but I think that would just be a fucking lie. Pittsburgh Steelers defense came back and won this game. 2 touchdowns on defense. One from TJ Watt, 1 pick six to start the game off. They got the win 26-22. Another sort of back and forth type game. We said it was Looney Tunes. We said it didn't make any sense. Here's my takeaway. I forgot how much I loved fading Matt Canada. I also forgot how terrible this guy was. If every NFL fan on Twitter could put out your offensive scheme, run down the middle, screen run, short pass as your offensive scheme every drive, you need to be fired. There's just no excuse for for Kenny Pickett. That's my point. You know what? You couldn't tell the difference. You can't tell the difference. Like, that's just how bad. That's how bad this offense looks under this scheme. Like Kenny Pickett, I would love to blame him and say he's not as good of a quarterback. I don't think it's this guy's fault. I really don't. I think he's just stuck in a really terrible offensive system. And you look at the throws he has with George Pickens. You look at what he can do when, like, they actually get the ball moving. It just seemed like time and time again they would drive the ball. They get a big throw. He would take a sack. It would be 3rd and short. They run a bullshit outside run. It gets stuffed. They have to punt. Or they would get a throw, and it would be completed, but then it would be pass interference. This Steelers team, they should not have won last night. I'll bluntly say it. They should not have won. Matt Canada does not deserve to be an offensive coordinator. Nathaniel Hackett might be a better offensive coordinator than Matt Canada here. I mean, at least Nathaniel Hackett got Zach Wilson to score some points on the board for offense. I'd honestly argue more. Actually, that is true. The Jets have more offensive points than the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
They're not. This offense is dreadful. It is like watching piss dry on concrete. It is just unbelievable. And the fact they won this game just goes to show, like, I don't know if that's an indication on Cleveland or it's just how good Pittsburgh's defense is. So, Money Mansmann, what was your overall takeaway here?
We got a comment that said we were going to see how good Cleveland was Monday night.
Who said this?
We got a comment you didn't see. Somebody commented and it was like, you're going to see how good Cleveland is. And,
oh, boy.
I mean, we saw. We were not impressed. No, I mean, that's the problem. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Pittsburgh's defense is good, but doesn't this seem like a Cleveland way to lose? Like, they lost their 50,000th game against the Steelers in a row. And, like, again, big mistakes from the Browns that cost them the game. But, yeah, I mean, the main takeaway is this Pittsburgh offense is so bad. Like, if they had any sort of offense, but they're almost, I mean, it's really hard to bet them when you go. And like I said, there were multiple times you go, every drive, you see Pittsburgh's offense, punt, 3 and out, fumble. And somehow the defense just sort of stole the game. I don't know how sustainable that is moving forward. So
I don't think either team is sustainable moving forward. And also, by the way, I just want to comment real quick. We're going to see how good Cleveland is. I saw how good Deshaun Watson was, and I've been saying this for a while now. Yeah, pick 6 to start the drive, 2 fumbles, 1 return for a touchdown. Literally pushes a ref after getting another face mask. The guy thinks he can stiff arm, but it just seems like all he knows how to do is face mask the guy. It's getting to the point with Deshaun Watson. He's like, I hate to say it, he's playing dirty, which isn't a surprise because it's Deshaun Watson and, dirty is, his middle name. But I swear to God, like, I did not like what I saw from Deshaun Watson, albeit, like, he did get a lot more throws out there. He had a lot better of a connection with Elijah Moore. Amari Cooper had a couple really good catches there. So, and maybe he's warming up, but at the same time, like, I don't see leadership from him. I don't see good play either. This guy is a loser. As of right now, this guy's a loser.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, I mean, thanks for the comments. Like, I mean, that's part of what this is about. Like, you go, I was confident about the Giants, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just got to have those hot takes. And again, it's great when they come through and you're the smartest guy on the planet. And then it's tough when, they don't come through and then, you're out there for everyone to see. So I'm right there with you, brother. I was there on the Giants. I'm right there with you. So
yeah, and you know what? I was there with the Cardinals. I thought they would be a lot better, and they still fucking blew it.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the Titans were dead in the water. That was my hot take, and sure as shit, they fucking come back and prove me wrong. Sometimes you got to be willing to go out there and be wrong, and also be accountable. That's part of our channel's mantra.
Yeah, that's how we're trying to.
Yeah, and if he is, and I just pulled up his comment, by the way. This is it's a Jerry FV91X. Yeah, but if sorry about Nick Chubb once again. We'll be praying for him.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It's so unfortunate.
And let's be fair to him. I mean, if Nick Chubb doesn't get hurt, Cleveland probably wins that game. Like that.
That's true. Yeah, I'll say that. That's 100%.
Yeah. So, in all fairness to you, tough beat, man. I'm right there with you. Had a week of tough beats. So.
Yeah, I'm a Broncos fan. Every week is a tough beat for us.
It's a tough beat. But so I guess we want to go into Thursday night's game, right?
That's true. We got to get out our final numbers though before we do that. So, do you want to kick this off, or do you want me to start?
I'll start because I sucked. How bad is it? I get 2 pushes for a week, 6, 2, and 8. or 6, 8, and 2, however you want to put it. So 6 winners, ATS, 8 losers, 2 pushes. Over under 8 and 8. And what's crazy is I was doing well on the over unders. I was like 6 and 2 going into the 4 o'clock games, and then I lost like every fucking over under on the 4 o'clock games. And then with the spread, again, I lost like 3 games by a half a point. So
1.5, 1 point. Yeah,
brutal. That was my week. So yeah, there you go.
All right. So for me, I went 11, 4, and 1 ATS.
Yeah, see, that's why it's big bucks.
Pushed on New Orleans. 11 and 5 on the money line. 9 and 7 over under. For the season total, I'm at 18 and 12 and 1 ATS. 18-3 money line. Unfortunately, not at 50% yet on the over unders. 15, 16 and 1. Fade of the weeks and my unders of the week are now 2 and 0. Everything else is 1 and 1. I went 5 and 0 on my best bets last week. So, yeah, like I said, 29 unit profit for me. I put out my Monday night winners on our Twitter, twitter.com/Degent podcast. You can check out the post there for you guys.
Yeah, giving out some mugga. Absolutely.
Got a bunch of winners there.
In the future, too, I'll give out my contest plays because that tends to be a better indicator of the plays I like. And, yeah, like I said, I mean, I ended up sort of doing much better on those plays. This is the second week in a row where really, like, the plays I've ended up liking closer to the start of the game have been more successful than some of my other plays. So,
Gotcha.
Just the way it goes. So, but yeah, what do we got for Thursday night?
Thursday night. I don't know why this team is back on primetime, but we're getting them on primetime again. It's the New York Giants. They're traveling to San Francisco on Thursday. They're 10.5-point road dogs. Oh crap! I did not have FanDuel odds up. That is what I am using. I can tell you San Francisco was minus 460. The over/under 44.5. The G-men, it looks like, are currently the G-men are now plus 430. The Niners are now minus 560, but Mansmann, the spread has gone down to 10.
Oh.
Yeah, is there something I'm missing? Like, I'm confused.
Well, 10's a big number on Thursday night. By the way, I'm going to announce my new handicapping strategy. Oh my God, my phone got screwed up. I'm going to try something new this week because I have a tendency to go with the favorites too many times, I think, and not look at enough dogs. So specifically what my handicapping strategy is, focus on the dogs first and basically have them as like my default play and then figure out reasons why to sort of bet on the favorite in the hopes that like that will get me to play more dogs in the future. This one, though, there's only one way to look, and it's the Niners. Here's the 2 numbers that jumped out at me, like why this is the way to look in this game. I think it's 13 straight wins as favorites, 11 straight covers against the NFC at home. This Niners team prints money as favorites against the NFC. There's with the way the Giants looked last week, coming off basically a historic emotional win, for them to quick turnaround Thursday night in San Francisco. San Francisco's home opener, I believe, as well. They were on the road and then on the road in LA. This is about the absolute worst spot in the world for the Giants. And yeah, there's only one way to look. It's San Francisco minus 10, 100%.
I'm co-signing you with that one. I mean, let's play the game. Let's look at both these teams. Let's forget everything for a minute that's happened this year. Let's just play the game and look at these 2 teams. We have, on one hand, Brock Purdy, undefeated at home, I know he said let's ignore what's happened this year, but let's just say, for whatever, he has a winning record. Actually, yeah, he has a winning record. He's only lost 1 game. Has Christian McCaffrey, has an O-line, has a coach who has won playoff games, has been very successful. Let's look at the other side. We have Daniel Jones.
How's he in Broncos?
Took 6 quarters to get the Giants' first points on the year. In games that start at 4:25 or later is 3-15 straight up.
That includes last week.
Yeah, that does include last week. Actually, no, I didn't include that because that game started at 4:05. But I will include it. So 4-15. We'll say 4-15. That's fine.
Big improvement.
Yeah. Doesn't have Saquon Barkley. I'm on 0.3, I think. So 0.4. Doesn't have an O-line. And his coach has won 1 game in the playoffs. I mean, yeah.
We haven't even talked about the defense, which has been dreadful the first 2 weeks.
And I haven't even mentioned the Giants have failed to cover 4 straight against the NFC West. This is a straight up Barney Bester, and this is for the other reasons you mentioned too. I mean, I almost this morning, like I know I joked around and said this with when we were offline, we said that there was another game where the spread was at 6, and when I woke up first thing this morning, and I almost put my whole FanDuel account on it because I just thought the number was asinine and was just trying to get ahead of it. But no, I waited and I looked at this game and I was like, this was the other game where I was like, I might literally drop the FanDuel account on this just to see what happens. And that's what's going to happen here. Yeah, I'm putting San Francisco on the line here. I just think they're the obvious play. They're the big favorite for a reason. This line has dropped from 10.5 to 10, so the CLV is there. The only concern I legitimately have is this is a road spot situation for the Giants, but not really because they're staying out west. When they originally requested the schedule for the 2023 season, they specifically asked the NFL if they could stay out west, if they could make those games back-to-back so they wouldn't have to travel, and it looks like it was granted, but they had to play Arizona and San Francisco back-to-back. So I think they will be closer adjusted to the time, so they may not be as exhausted as one would think, so the jet lag won't be there. Another thing, too, road teams in Thursday Night Football, they're 2-0 ATS this season. They've actually covered 6 straight going back to Week 15, which was, ironically enough, Brock Purdy's Thursday night debut where he won and covered against Seattle. But I think even then, like, look at the 2 teams, like you said, what they played last week.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to who gassed out first. Was it the Giants in 2 quarters of football having to drop 31 to catch up to Josh Dobbs, or was it the Niners having to play a tight game against the Rams and ultimately getting the win, getting a push on the cover? But,
but a phony. So I mean, it was a 10-point game at the end of the game.
But it was a lot closer, and I don't want to say back and forth, but they're coming off a big division win on the road. Now they have to come home debut. And they are getting a bad team in the Giants. Like, you have to wonder, is like I think some people are worried about, is this a game where just 10 points is too much, so you just take the road team because they just seem to cover? I'm personally not doing it. I think it's asinine to bet any point spread on the Giants. This could be a potential ladder bet here. I may ladder bet this one. Like this, that's how bad this is.
Yeah, you think it's going to be an utter. I will say, my favorite bet here, San Francisco first half -6.5. The Giants, I mean, obviously the last 2 weeks, the Giants have been dreadful to start games. Dreadful. And you're going San Francisco's home opener, primetime, Thursday Night Football. I mean, that to me seems like a wonderful fucking bet for me. It might even be lower now. I wonder if it went down to 6 now. I don't know.
I'm checking them. I'm checking them now.
It was 6.5 this morning. If it's under 7, first half is my favorite bet for this game because I don't I think the Giants are going to get abused early in this game. That's
I did have Giants under 16.5 points, but that was my other prop play for this one. I just don't think San Francisco's defense is going to even pretend to let the Giants have a chance here. First half, those are points. First half winner.
Where's that spread?
That's what I'm looking for.
They take it down?
No, they should have it. Oh, here we go. First half spread. Minus 6.5. Yeah, minus 125.
I mean, that to me is my favorite bet there.
I mean, if you want to same game parlay those two, you could get plus 125, but I think just taking those separately would be the move.
The same game, what? The first half and what?
Yeah, so FanDuel currently has a 50% profit boost for any wager on the Niners-Giants game.
Oh, with the boost? Oh.
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is, let me see. Yeah, I think I'm going to boost the minus 10, and I'll bet I'll boost the minus 6.5 because it's minus 125. So I'll get that at plus 120. And I'll play that.
I enjoy it. Bro, I'm telling you, this Giants team, we've seen it. The first 2 weeks, they've gotten off to terrible starts. They're on the road, San Francisco home opener. That place is going to be electric. Like, they have no Saquon Barkley. They're not going to be able to run the ball. Bro, I could see it being 21-0, like, first half. I could see the Giants just completely getting trounced in the first half. So, yeah, I love that bet.
That is... Yeah, I'm gonna lock that in now.
I think that's gonna cash. I got a good feeling.
Yeah, that's gonna cash. My other play, Giants minus 16.5. I am gonna take a look though. First half points for Giants.
Giants
under 7.5. Under 7.5. Oh, that's a bit chalky. Minus 140. I don't know if I want to play that.
Yeah, that's so low. I mean, they're giving like the Giants no chance to do anything.
Yeah, I mean you can play the Niners. You could play the over Niners 13.5 at minus 135. It's a little better, but nah. I think what I did was I same game parlayed the. I think I did first. I don't know if I did first halves or if I did the total. I may have done the spread and the team total under for 16.5. Yeah, I did that on DraftKings. That's okay though. Yeah, that's gonna be my play. Niners to cover 10, Giants under 16.5. That's my play. All right, Money Mansmann. It was a victory week 2. It was a Goldschlager Tuesday. I will see you on Friday for the week 3 handicap episode. We'll do the rest of the 15 games then. Check us out on twitter.com/Degents podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out now on Spotify, Distinguished Degents. Money Mansmann, any final comments before we sign off?
No, man, no. Wonderful week. Hopefully we could get a couple winners Thursday, and everyone, as always, make that motherfucking money.
Yes, sir. All right, signing off.